Take your shoes off right now and don't delay this moment thinking you'll check later tonight, not tomorrow, not after this video ends, but right now while this thought is fresh in your mind. And don't just glance at your feet the way you usually do without paying real attention. Actually look closely, carefully, and intentionally at what your body may already be showing you. Because what I'm about to tell you is something most people completely miss for years without realizing it. Not because the signs are hidden or rare, but because they look too small to take seriously. And that is exactly why these small changes quietly turn into something much more dangerous over time. Here's the truth that most people don't understand until it's already too late to ignore. Long before most people are diagnosed with diabetes or any serious condition, their body shows early signals. Before any test results, before any major symptoms, before anything feels urgent or painful at all. Your body often leaves visible clues that something inside is slowly starting to change. And one of the first places where those changes begin to appear is right at your feet. Most people don't know this, and that lack of awareness is what causes them to miss early warning signs. They wait for something dramatic, something painful, something that forces them to take it seriously. But diabetes and similar problems do not usually start with strong or obvious symptoms in the beginning. They build slowly, quietly, and consistently while your body tries to manage the imbalance internally. And during that process, your body is already trying to warn you in small, subtle ways. Now think about this honestly for a moment, without rushing past this question in your mind. When was the last time you actually checked your feet carefully with full attention and awareness? Not casually, not quickly, not while distracted, but intentionally looking for any small changes. Most people never do this, and that is exactly why they miss what their body is showing them. They walk all day, wear shoes constantly, and ignore small differences that seem unimportant at first. And because nothing feels painful or urgent, they assume everything is completely fine and normal. Until one day, something changes enough to force them to finally pay attention. This is not what you think, and this is where most people misunderstand what is happening. Because early signs are not dramatic, they are subtle, quiet, and very easy to ignore. But just because something is small does not mean it is not important or worth noticing. Now imagine this situation happening in your daily routine without you even realizing it. You finish your day, you sit down, and you take your shoes off like you always do. And for a brief moment, you notice that your feet feel slightly different than usual. Maybe a little numb, maybe a little dry, maybe just not exactly the same as before. But because there is no pain or strong discomfort, you ignore it and move on quickly. And that small decision becomes a pattern that repeats itself again and again every day. This is where it gets serious, even though it still feels small and easy to ignore. Because early warning signs do not shout loudly or demand your attention immediately. They whisper quietly, and if you don't listen, they slowly become stronger over time. Let me explain this in a very simple way so you can clearly understand what is happening. Your body depends on balance, especially when it comes to managing sugar and energy levels properly. Now imagine your system slowly losing that balance, not suddenly, but gradually over time. Your body starts struggling to manage energy efficiently, even if you don't feel it clearly yet. And when that happens, your nerves, circulation, and skin begin showing small, visible changes. But these changes don't appear everywhere at once. They often show up in specific areas first. And one of those areas is your feet, because they rely heavily on proper circulation and nerve signals. Your feet are far from your core, which makes them more sensitive to early internal changes. So when something begins to go wrong, your feet often reveal those signs earlier than other parts. Most people don't realize this, and they focus on obvious symptoms while ignoring subtle ones. They look for big problems instead of noticing small signals that appear much earlier. Now listen carefully, because this is where understanding becomes very important for you. There are certain signs in your feet that should never be ignored, even if they seem harmless. Even if they feel small, temporary, or not serious enough to worry about at first. One of the earliest signs is tingling, a slight pins and needles feeling that comes and goes. For example, you might feel it at night or after sitting for a long period of time. That feeling is not random, and it is not something you should automatically ignore. Another sign is numbness, where your feet feel less responsive or slightly disconnected. For example, you touch your feet and notice the sensation feels different than before. That change is your nerves trying to communicate something that needs your attention. Another sign is dryness that feels persistent and does not improve easily over time. For example, your skin feels rough even when you try to take care of it properly. That dryness can reflect internal imbalance rather than just an external skin issue. Another sign is slow healing, where small cuts or cracks take longer than usual to recover. For example, a minor wound stays visible longer than you would normally expect. That delay shows your system is under stress and not functioning at full efficiency. Another sign is a burning sensation, especially noticeable during the night when you rest. For example, your feet feel warm or uncomfortable without any clear physical reason. That sensation is your nerves reacting to changes happening inside your body. Another sign is color change, where your skin tone looks slightly darker or uneven over time. For example, small patches or areas start looking different compared to before. That change can reflect circulation issues that should not be ignored. And another sign is swelling that may appear mild but noticeable by the end of the day. For example, your feet look slightly puffy without a clear explanation or reason. That swelling can indicate your body is struggling to maintain proper balance internally. Now pause for a moment and think honestly about your own experience so far. Have you noticed any of these signs, even once or in a very small way? Even occasionally, even if you thought it was nothing important at the time. Don't panic or jump to conclusions, but also don't ignore what your body may be showing you. Because this is where it becomes serious, even though it still feels small right now. These are early signs, not final outcomes, and they give you a chance to act early. They do not mean something severe has already happened, but they show your body is under pressure. And ignoring that pressure does not make it disappear or resolve on its own. Let me tell you something important that I've seen again and again in real situations. People ignore these small signs for years because they don't feel urgent or dangerous. And later, they realize those small signs were actually early warnings they missed. But I've also seen people notice early, take simple steps, and avoid bigger problems later. Because timing matters more than intensity when it comes to protecting your health. Now let's go deeper into why these signs appear in the first place. Your system begins struggling to regulate properly, even if you don't feel major symptoms yet. Your blood flow becomes less efficient, your nerves respond differently, and your skin reflects that. And your feet become the first place where these changes become visible. This is where most people get it wrong and misunderstand what is actually happening. They treat symptoms separately instead of seeing the bigger pattern behind them. Dry skin is treated with cream. Tingling is ignored. Numbness is delayed and forgotten. But here's the truth. These are not separate problems. They are connected signals. They are part of a bigger pattern that your body is trying to communicate to you. Now think about your daily routine and habits in a more aware and honest way. Are you paying attention to your body, or are you constantly ignoring small signals? Because your body is always communicating, even when you choose not to notice it. Now let's talk about what you should actually do moving forward from this point. You don't need panic, and you don't need extreme changes or fear-based reactions, but you do need awareness. And that is where everything starts to shift. First, start checking your feet regularly. Not once, but as a consistent habit. For example, check them at night when your day ends and you are more relaxed. Awareness always starts with observation, and observation leads to understanding. Second, pay attention to changes instead of expecting perfection or immediate clarity. For example, if something feels different, notice it instead of dismissing it quickly. Change is what matters most, not whether something looks perfectly normal or not. Third, support your body with simple and consistent habits that improve stability. For example, maintain a balanced routine that your body can rely on daily. Your body responds better to consistency than to extreme or occasional effort. Fourth, don't delay action if something continues or becomes more noticeable over time. For example, if a sign repeats, take it seriously and consider proper evaluation. Early response can completely change outcomes before things become more serious. And one more thing that you need to understand clearly before moving forward. You don't need fear to take action. You need awareness to stay in control. Because awareness gives you the ability to respond early instead of reacting late. Now let me calm something that may already be in your mind right now. If you've noticed one or two signs, it does not mean you have diabetes, but it does mean your body is asking for attention and awareness from you. And what you choose to do next can make a real difference in your future health. Most people miss early warnings because they ignore what feels small and unimportant. You don't have to make that mistake, because now you understand something valuable. If this made you think differently, don't ignore it and don't delay taking simple action. And share this with someone who believes everything is fine without checking. Because sometimes the earliest warning is the one you almost ignore completely.